Hi, this is Jeremy, the Tall Trainer, and I shared this with one of the classes this morning, and it seemed like it was going to be something that'd be really helpful for a lot of people to hear about. It was basically about how the shoulder works, so that way you can understand how an injury happens and what we're trying to do in boot camp in our workouts to help keep that area healthier. So here's a little mini skeleton. His name's Matt. Unlike our skeletons, this skeleton, our shoulder blades are not screwed into the ribs. That's just to keep this thing held together. But an interesting thing to think about is because it's not attached to our ribs at all. It slides around there. The only thing that keeps the shoulder on the body is actually the collarbone here. So the shoulder blade attaches to the collarbone, and the collarbone attaches right to the sternum there. And so the only bone connection is right there. And this isn't like a very, very sturdy bone. So it's actually a very fragile joint. And you can see how, the only thing that really keeps that shoulder on the body, besides all these little small bony connections, is really the muscles. The muscles are responsible for how our shoulders are held. And so it's easy to see how, our posture can get really, really messed up in our shoulders and can be put in a bad spot. So if we have the rolled forward shoulders and things like that, we're in a negative place, and it's not ideal. So one of the things to understand is the shoulder blade, the way it moves. And what we want to do is we want to have a shoulder blade that moves really well, so that when it slides around back there and on our back and everything like that. That's why we do things like field goal squeezes and pulls and rows and things like that. We try to do the overhead squats where we're reaching overhead and stretching. We're trying to get more range of motion in that shoulder blade. The way the shoulder blade is supposed to work is this little bottom end here actually will slide up and out to the side. So the shoulder blade will actually twist there. So when you reach overhead, a good shoulder, the shoulder blade actually starts to poke out over here. It starts to shift and turn. I can feel the bottom edge of my shoulder blade kick out right over in here. So what that does is it takes the socket of the shoulder, and instead of pointing it out to the side, it actually turns the socket of the shoulder so it points up. So when we reach overhead, the socket of the shoulder is pointing up. And so the muscles inside the shoulder, inside the shoulder joint, are able to not be under too much constriction there. They're able to just stay stabilizing. So there are 4 muscles deep inside the shoulder joint that make up our rotator cuff. So one of them comes over the top and through there. That one is often the one that gets pinched the most. Another one comes from just the side of the blade here and attaches in there. And then one comes from this whole back surface here and attaches. And one comes from the inside surface and attaches to the shoulder blade there. So there's those 4 ones come around and they attach in there and they hold that shoulder together pretty well. Now, if this shoulder blade isn't moving the way it's supposed to, let's say it gets stuck here. It's almost screwed there. So let's say it gets stuck, and this guy here wants to reach overhead. So if he goes up and he starts reaching overhead, now he's going to start banging. It's going to start pinching, and some of these muscles are going to get hit. They're going to get pinched. They're going to get aggravated. They're going to get strained. So if you don't have good shoulder blade movement there, this area starts to get inflamed. So our rotator cuff. That's how most rotator cuff issues come about, is because of not a very healthy moving scapula there. Now, most common is the rounded forward or elevated. Those are the most common things. You'll hear me say, shoulders back and down. Be 2 things we remind you of, is that's to try to get you back in that position where it's a healthy place for the shoulder to be in. And so we practice that in the class. So that basically that covers a good chunk. Hopefully you get an idea of why we tell you some of the things that we tell you, and we're focused on some of the things that we're focused on. So if we can restore this with some of the exercise that we do, and the focus on, we're always saying, number 1 priority is posture and position. So we're trying to make sure we're in a good position there, healthy position in the shoulder blade and the rest of our body. Then range of motion. So our first goal is to see if we get that shoulder blade to start moving in a good range of motion. If we don't have that yet, well, we should limit how high. Let's say we're doing an overhead lift. You shouldn't lift quite that high because your shoulder blade's not responding right. So it might stop you from going quite that high. So we have a limited range of motion at first. Now, once we get more range of motion and we get the shoulder blade to start swinging up there, then we might add extra resistance. Once you have good range of motion, what happens to a lot of people is they don't have good range of motion yet. His head spinning here. And they don't have good range of motion in their shoulder yet, and they're not in a great posture. But they still go for the heavy weights and really hard stuff before they have the foundation set right, and then they have problems. They have injuries, and bad things happen. So we try to structure boot camp to begin to start to restore this area for you. So hopefully that's kind of helpful, getting an idea of how this area works, the shoulder area works. There is some more to it I could go into, but just to keep this video a little bit shorter, that's basically it. So that is how the shoulder works, and that's why we want to really make sure we're working on that posture so that we can keep exercising in a really healthy and safe way. So this is Tell Trainer saying, have fun, be safe.